Hello, this is John Gene Angel, and I'm here today to share with you some pictures and some information about collecting bald cypress trees in South Carolina. This is a lake, one of the lakes in the lower country of South Carolina, and you can see that full of bald cypress trees. Even in the distance, those are bald trees. There's a little closer picture of the distance. Look along the bank, we can see some big monsters. Of course, these guys are 5 or 6 feet across and would be very difficult, if not impossible, to try to collect. But great example of how the root buttress of a bald cypress flares and gets these flutes in it as it begins to mature. Along the way, we stopped and took some pictures here, and then we also at this little place. This is a little pond not far off the lake that has pond cypress. You can notice the bases of the trees look a little different. Pond cypress is also a smaller tree and has a little different foliage on it. As we got to where we were going to collect, you can see some knees. This is basically a little canal or something that goes out to the lake. But it was a beautiful May day. The weather was very nice, well past any freezes. So the only time I've had trouble collecting bald cypress is when they got cold after they were collected, and that tends to put a hurt on them. So I always wait until May to collect, and if I do that, I'm generally very successful. A couple little seedlings here in the foreground, and basically this is a water elm and bald cypress forest, and there's probably also black tupelo and some of the other aquatic loving plants in this forest, but primarily bald cypress and water elm. As you start looking around, the hardest thing to do is to find the right size tree. Find one that has good taper, is the size you want to collect, is not right on top of other trees. So my advice is to start your collecting trip with scouting. Go look. Find some trees. Just don't run up to the first tree and dig it. You're going to be sorry if you do. So go ahead and spend a little time. It's worth the effort to do a little scouting. You may tag some trees or mark them somehow so that you can get back to them. As we got to looking around, I decided I wanted to try to collect this tree, so I left my bag sitting next to that tree and I continued to scout for it. Found another tree here. This one, although does not have great taper, I love this little knee it had next to it, so I thought I would dig that one. That should be a very easy dig. This tree is maybe 8 or 9 inches across at the base. Here we go. We always start digging. From experience, we've learned that you don't start digging a bald cypress with a shovel. You start with a little folding saw, or a reciprocating saw is another tool that we found that works really well. I'll show you some pictures of that in just a minute. But you basically cut a circle around the tree, far enough out to get some roots. The nice thing about cypress trees is they're generally growing in some muck, and they're going to have lots of fine roots close, so you don't have to go way out to find fine roots. So think about the size of the pot this tree might fit into. If you're going to collect it, there's no use collecting a whole big old root system and then taking it home and having it recover from that, and then you have to make a huge cut on the roots again before you put it in a bonsai pot after you've done a few years work on it. Doesn't make sense. Go ahead and cut it so that it'll fit the bonsai pot, or pretty close from the very, very start. That way, if it should be too much for the tree and the tree passes, then you don't have years invested in developing the tree. So another picture of the same tree. You can see on the right hand bottom, you can see the hole it came out of. So you can see we're very much in swampy area. The water happened to be down today when we went, but this is after you extract the tree, that's what it is. And really, this tree was small enough that once I cut the roots, I just bend it over and reach underneath, and using a handsaw cut any tap roots. But since these guys grow on top of kaolin, the roots really don't penetrate the kaolin, so they go down through the organic material, maybe 10-12 inches, and then they begin to spread. So there's generally very few roots in the middle. Here's an example of a tree that's been cut. This was actually that first tree I showed you that I said I was going to collect. So this tree has been cut. The circle has been cut around it, and my buddy is pulling it over, and then I would be reaching under here. If I weren't taking pictures, I would be reaching under here and cutting any of the branches from the underneath. As I cut branches, he'll be able to come further and further down. You can see the edge of the tree is beginning to lift up. I can get further under those roots. I might use a shovel, a spade with a sharp shovel at this point to reach anything if I can't get to it with a handsaw. Alright, he's got it pulled over even further. Okay, tree's out now, so it's loose, so we're going to cut the top. I don't cut the top till after I've gotten it loose from the bottom. It makes it easier to pull on it and move it back and forth from side to side to free up any of those roots that are in the center. So once the tree's free, then you can cut the top. Think about this when you cut the top, though. What are you going to do with the top? Is this something you're gonna cut a big angled cut on and let it grow back in, or are you going to carve this top and make it look like maybe a lightning strike or something? If you're going to carve it, you probably need to leave a longer top than you might if you're going to try to create a tapered top. So think about those things. Because it's hard to put that top on once you cut it off. Alright, so there we go. There's a tree directly behind him, so it looks like this tree's still sticking up, but really it stops right there at his hand. So it's been freed, the top's been cut. Now it's time to clean some of the foreign roots off the roots. Bend it over. There you can see the hole it came out of. You can see the big roots that were cut. Those look scary, but those will really do just fine. So now I take a root hook and I begin to separate the neighbor roots from the tree's actual roots. And since this tree grows, and these trees grow in kaolin, the root base can be really heavy if you don't clear off some of that kaolin first. So I'm clearing out foreign roots and kaolin or clay at this point, make the tree so I can at least care.